and welcome back to Dev Game Club, weekly podcast in which two veteran game developers look at games from the past to discuss their relevance and impact today. I'm Brett Duville, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, a man who shall endeth this eternal twilight and avert further undead sacrifices.
Tim Longo. You never know how much longer you're going to go with lines from this game. It could just keep going. It
could just keep going.
Yeah.
A god said that to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's, wow. Okay.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. She was good looking too, so I don't know. She might have a little thing for me. So there's been a lot in this game. We should probably just check in on time played. We checked this out beforehand. It's been 2 weeks, so I'll also give last time. Last time you had played, you were at level 41, you played 27 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You are now, you think level 50, maybe 49, maybe 51, and 33 hours.
Yeah.
Which, again, continues to be pretty efficient, I will say. I was level 80 with 77 hours. And I checked, actually, when I started play after last time. I was actually at 74 hours, so I was wrong last time. So 80 and 74 hours. I'm now level 114, and I've played 115 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
And I hardly played this past week. This past week was super busy for me, but the week before I played probably 25 hours. I've only played like 5 hours this week. Tops, maybe not even that. So had a lot of other things to do. So yeah, I've put in the time. I have been given the Lordvessel, and I have placed it where it belongs, and I'm now finding very heavy souls to weigh down the Lordvessel or refill it or something. And it has been a very strange ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the Lordvessel. Yeah, so obviously
the lore.
Oh, the
Lordvessel. Lord. No, Lord. It is Lord.
It is Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's all about the lords.
Yeah,
the lore is about the lords.
I feel like somebody. So when you
Frampt.
Yeah,
Frampt is who told you need to get the Lord,
right.
The Lordvessel.
Right. Oops, sorry. Website issue.
Clicking away.
Yeah, so he obviously, now that I've done the second bell, he talked about that stuff and kind of gives you that. So that journey then for you, I mean, that's like 30 more hours since how many hours since you got the second bell? 40 yet? 30? Yes.
Ages 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, that was so long ago. I couldn't honestly tell you. Because I was in Anor Londo, which is where it happens after you kill the Iron Golem last time. I had already gone up there. I might have been all I had done though. Yes, that's all I had done. I'd gone up and found a bonfire and been like, oh, phew.
And that's the top of Sen's Fortress? Is that
top
right?
of Sen's Fortress? Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So you make your way through Sen's Fortress. I did find like a shortcut to get out of there, which was super helpful. I actually was very lost for a while. I kept pushing in different directions, not because Anor Londo was a little bit, there were parts that were too tough, or I at least hadn't figured out what to do. Oh, no, it was too tough. Now I remember. So there's a boss battle in there, which is actually two bosses. It's like these two partners. It's like Jack Sprat and his wife. One's very thin, one's very fat. And you kill one, and it takes the other one's power. I tried it both ways, like killing one versus the other. And it was brutal. So there was a time where I went and spent, I don't know, an hour and a half just farming rats for humanity. So that Solaire would join me, because that battle was very difficult for me to do alone. I was fine with him helping me and doing some damage to. So basically, what happens? You kill one of them, the other one basically I think gets all his health back. I think his health was restored because I had hit him a bunch, and then that one's there, but more powered up. So you fight and kill one of two bosses where they're both coming after one or both of you like splitting up or working together on one person, I knew that I was not going to do that in one go. So I went and got a bunch of humanity, and I like had 13, not on me, but not as part of my, not in the little bubble up in the corner, but just carried, in my inventory. And I was like, okay, I'll use, because you have to be, you can't be hollow to summon.
Can you use him anytime, or is any of the bosses?
There's specific summons. Maybe all the bosses. It's probably things that he's near. Like he's actually in Anor Londo, so you talk to him and he's like, "Oh, thanks for helping me out. I'll, you call on me whenever or whatever." Yeah. And so it's like, "Oh, okay, I'm probably gonna need to call on him somewhere here." It took me a while to even find, where he was. I got invaded a whole bunch of times because you're running around as a human again. There was one time I got invaded and I stood and hid behind. There's a blacksmith up there, so I went and stood behind the blacksmith in my like dingiest iron armor and just kind of stood there hoping I would just kind of blend in. So, and that worked once. Another guy found me there and killed me. So I got invaded a bunch of times. So that was entertaining. So it's like every time it's like burning. Oh, I burned another one of the humanity I farmed from a rat. But yeah, you get past them and that's where you meet the goddess. Now, and here's the thing. So her name is, I think, Gwynevere or Gwynevere. Can't remember which. And
yeah, I think
she gives you a ring because, of course, it's a million rings. She gives you this ring, and I think in the description of the ring or something, there's some description, because I might have seen it on a loading screen as well, that says she married some fire giant and left Anor Londo, which is weird because she's in Anor Londo. And then there's another one which talks about another dude, Gwyndolin, I think? Gwyndolin? And it says that he's the only god left in Anor Londo. So there's something going on there, I have to say. There's something weird. Something is rotten in Anor Londo.
Yeah, the serpent talks about Gwyn, not the full name, but there's something.
Gwyn is the dad.
Oh, and so these are maybe they're siblings?
I think they're both children of Lord Gwyn. I think that's his daughter and maybe son.
Oh my God. The lore in this is so interesting and weird and opaque and random. So is it related? Is it you remember the priestess that shows up in Firelink with those other paladins that's by the paladins?
Yes. Oh yeah, I met her again.
Yeah, she was there. You talk to her. She kind of says, we have a mission to do, a quest, and I forget what she said. And then because it was 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember. And then the guy that was she says they're going down below. I think. It was confirmed by one of the other guys that she was going to the catacombs. And then the guy that you've been, the priest that's been there from the beginning leaves with her. Like they go wherever they go. She leaves, and then he comes back eventually and says that he lost her.
He lost her. Yeah.
So did you resolve that with her? So this is kind of one of my macro points or meta points of just like how NPCs are used in this game.
Right. Yeah. We should talk about that. I did ultimately find her because I met a dude who kicked me off a ledge and into a hole where I found this woman. And she actually ended up giving me a miracle after I killed her paladins because they had gone hollow.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty grim stuff. It's pretty wild. It is just like I didn't expect that. It's dark down there. There's a way to get some light, but it's really not enough. And it takes your shield slot. So I'm like walking around in this area holding up my lantern. And
I think I just got that.
The skull lantern?
Yeah, I did get a skull lantern.
Yeah. So I was walking around down there with the skull lantern, trying to see things, and it's very easy to get kind of lost. And you're constantly watching because there's all these ledges that you can fall off, and it's terrifying. And then at one point I kind of came around a corner and they both rushed me, and I felt very proud to kill him in the one go. Like, it wasn't super challenging or anything, but it was like a little mini boss kind of fight where I was like, oh no, I'm in it. Like, I couldn't pull just one of them or something. There's a whole thing. And then I went back to her because she had said to me, well, if you see them, maybe you can bring them back or whatever. And it was like, no, I could not bring them back. They attacked me. And she was like, well, they would have wanted it this way. They wouldn't want to be hollow. And gave me a miracle. So I got a miracle that I was like, oh, this isn't actually a miracle that I would use.
That's a spell for you, right?
That's a spell. Yeah. That's a cleric spell is called a miracle.
Yeah.
There's like 3 types of magic. I think pyromancy, I think just magic. I think the other one's just called magic. And
then divine.
And then divine is these miracles. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your mace, do you have a divine weapon right now?
I do. I have a +5 divine mace. However, I have switched to another club I found. I looked and they're classed as hammers. The mace is a hammer. The club is a hammer. I used it once just to get the feel for it. I have a dragon tooth, which is a hammer. It's a 2-handed hammer. It makes my character, it's as tall as my character, so when I'm walking around with it, I'm pulled back so that I can get on screen. So I've got this gigantic. I used it once and I was like, I'm not going to be able to. I'd have to really up my strength, I guess, a lot to wield it effectively. I can wield it 2-handed, but I can't wield it and have a shield, and that's no good. And it makes me slow. Like, I've put all my points in endurance, strength, and faith, with a little bit of dabbling in resistance and vitality and attunement. I'm just minor, like single digits. So yeah, it's been a whole thing. It was funny walking around with it. For a while, I was in this super heavy, chunky armor, and I'm like, I can barely move walking around in this. So I spent a lot of time putting into endurance, and then I got a set, or I might have already had the set, but I put on a different set where I'm like, oh, this is actually really close, and it's upgradable, and that other one isn't. And I have this ring that makes my effective endurance higher, I think. And the ring is named for the guy whose armor I was wearing. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I will put that on. That'll make me a little bit more nimble, and I'll just level up. Part of why I played 20-something hours, 25 hours the week before last is, like, I would just go level for a bunch of hours and just put a ton into, or I'd level my weapons, which was, there's a point where you can buy some of the Titanites that you've previously only found 1 or 2 of. Not all of the Titanites, but some from that blacksmith, where it's like, oh, okay, now I can buy Twinkling Titanite, so I can upgrade things that I couldn't upgrade before. So it's stuff like that is just like, so I'll go grind for that. Okay, now all my armor's as far up as it can go, or as I can take it at this point. So it's just been all of that has been my. That's taken up huge chunks of time that I just go and do this 9,000 soul loop, several times. It's like, well, I'm going to try to level out my armor. Let me try to get, 64,000 souls, and then run over and see how much that upgrades everything. Oh, not enough. Let me do it again. It's just like that.
Where's that loop, out of curiosity? Is it someplace?
It's in Anor Londo.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 6 giants, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. It's honestly probably slightly more efficient to do like just the same 3 again and again and again, but I will not do that.
Obviously. So I'm still so far behind you, of course, but I killed the big sad creature in the fire in the demon area.
Yes, the Ceaseless Discharge.
And that was cool how kind of, basically creates that new play space, right? When he dies and the lava stops flowing or whatever.
Yeah, he stops discharging lava.
Yeah. And then I didn't go too far because, I definitely if I put my mind to it, I think I could progress in there, because I was able to kill those fire guys and the Capra, with some intent. But then I realized I hadn't, I wanted to go, I felt like I should go back to the catacombs, because I really hadn't done much there. And man, so the reason I asked you about the divine, did the skeletons get back up when you kill them?
Yes, they do.
Okay, yeah. Even for you, because I thought...
Even for me,
I thought
but
maybe,
you can hit them while they're down, when they're kind of displaced or whatever.
And then kill them entirely?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's because, so this is the only thing I've looked up in the game, other than clues I've gotten from you. You have to, so I'm wondering if I'm pretty sure you have an advantage in the catacombs because of the divine weapon.
Oh yeah, the undead hate the divine weapon.
Yeah, because I think you can kill them. You can get the final death somehow from them. But for me, they just infinitely respawn, or they infinitely get back up until I kill the sorcerers down there, the fire sorcerers that are essentially necromancers who are reviving them. And so each area of the catacombs has one of those sorcerers that are sort of hidden, and you have to find them. And until you kill the one in that area, all of the skeletons will respawn. And so...
Oh, wow. I don't even know if I found any of those guys.
Some of them are on the right in. They're the guys that shoot fire at you. Yeah, they shoot fire.
Yeah, it's so long since I first went through the catacombs. I have no idea.
You probably saw at least a few of them, but because of the divine weapon,
I do remember there being another enemy type there that I haven't seen. So I guess they are one-time things you kill once.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was just, for me, it was frustrating because I think you probably didn't have this trouble, because what I looked up is one of the ways to get around this is with a divine weapon, which I wasn't going to go get just for this. So I basically just hunted down the sorcerers. But the weird thing, it's such an interesting small mechanic. The reason I'm just mentioning it is that it's cool how they take simple concepts. They have their basic flow of going through an area, and then they just add this one little tweak to it for people who don't have divine weapons, where it's like, I have to play completely differently because I basically have to take a couple down while they're on the ground before they kind of reform. And it's basically like I'm rushing, like I'm doing a rush, and I have to push through to find, and of course I die multiple times, but I have to figure out where the sorcerer is. And then when I get to the sorcerer, I have to kill him, and they stay dead, luckily. Right. So once you kill them, they're like a mini boss. Once you kill them once, they're gone forever. But sometimes they're pretty off the beaten path and hidden away. And so it's sort of, it made, my behavior in the loop of that, much different, because you can't really play methodically, because you'll just get overwhelmed by respawning. The skeletons you've just killed will just get up and they'll never die. So you kind of have to so it's kind of interesting. I didn't expect that. It was frustrating though, because I had there's no tell that I could see that really, I don't think they show him
the fire mages
summoning them or bringing them back to the life or anything. I had no idea that was what causes them to replenish. Maybe there was maybe there was some book or something that I didn't find, but so I eventually, I thought I had to be human to kill them. So I had that theory for a while. I had all these theories, but it wasn't it. So
there's a Black Knight down there.
Yeah. He dumps you right into it. This is Black Knight. At least the critical path, I think, is a critical path.
It's not. If you step on that, there's a space. If you step on it, you fall through, but you don't have to fall through there.
Oh, so then I haven't found another way to get to the wheel guys.
There's another way. There is another way.
Okay. Yeah,
just don't step in the hole. Did you kill that Black Knight?
No, but I think I'm going to. If you said there's another way, then maybe I'll try to avoid him. I found that Titan Knight.
Well, so he can see you through the holes, so you have to be quick as well. So it's very funny. There was one time I walked around a corner and there was the Black Knight, and I was so shocked that he was just standing there that he just totally killed me. I didn't even put my shield up because I was just oh my God, what's that guy doing? Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. So it was very funny. Sometimes that stuff is, he literally was waiting in a space for me. They clearly set him up to go a path to a point so that you'd come around a corner and he'd be there. And it was good. It was good.
So on to that point, there's a bit of a segue, because I thought because I thought that I had to be human to kill those skeletons. So do you ever? So you farmed humanity that one time based on those bosses because you wanted to summon the.
I wanted to be able to summon Solaire. Yeah.
Solaire. I was trying to figure out, like, so they have the mechanic where you can farm humanity before the boss is dead in the area, and it is based on, I did obviously test that theory out, and if you kill enough of them, then what are the reasons that you would, because I think as far as the bubbles go, and if you die, you lose any that are on in the little upper left bubble,
in the bubble,
go away, right? You lose them.
Yep. Yeah, but you can pick them up from your stain.
Oh, they're in the retrieval. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, that's good. So I was just trying to.
I think that's true.
Well, I'll test that out.
Probably. I usually spend them pretty quickly, like on kindling bonfires and stuff like that. So they don't tend to stick around with me very long. Or I die again. Like
that's what I was going to ask is what you farm what one farms humanity for? Because there's that one spider lady below Quelaag, past her that takes humanity. Like you can give her humanity, but I think that's how you level up spells or something as a pyromancer. She's the pyromancer.
I think she might be related to Quelaag. Like she's also a spider lady.
Yeah. But like she's
the Chaos Sisters or whatever, I think.
Right, that's right. Something. That's right. She's the equivalent of that palette or that paladin up in the Firelink. She's the one that. Yeah. What are the groups called that you join? Oh, Covenant.
Is your Firelink shrine still ignited?
No.
Okay, mine's also gone out,
which I'm
not
super
sure
bummed
why.
about.
Yeah.
Well, he said, "Oh, and the main dude by that fire's gone."
Yes.
After the bell, I came up and he's like, "He's gone." I was like, "What the?"
Yeah, I talked to him before he went, and he was basically like, "Well, why bother? There's no fire here or whatever."
Yeah, I did too. And then I went to another fire, and then came back, and he was gone. The pyromancer guy that I saved in the under the depths.
Yeah, undead depths, Berg, lower undead Berg, I think is where he is. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fire's not there because the firekeeper is gone, and I think the firekeeper was the woman who was down under. Because if you look at the clothes that she left behind,
right, the dingy rags,
it says that they're the firekeeper's clothes.
Yeah, so you have her clothes because you picked them up.
Yeah,
and you got her soul, I think, at the same time.
Oh,
and that's why you could kindle more.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
I've actually found another one of those. I can kindle 20 Estus flasks now if I put in the humanity.
Nice.
Also, there's fast travel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So is it done through an NPC mechanism, or how is it done?
It is once you get and place the Lordvessel. That's all I'll say. But yeah.
It's so crazy. It's like
I think it's just getting it, actually. I don't think you have to place it.
It's just
getting it because I fast traveled to the place where I thought I was supposed to bring it, and the NPC was sleeping, and I was like, "Oh, now I got to go figure out how to make this guy not be sleeping." And then one time, randomly, when I went there, he was awake. I was like, "Okay, hey, I want to show you this thing," and and something crazy happened, which I won't describe because it has to be seen to be believed. So.
Do you wait? So to get 20, do you have to kindle twice, or you just have to kindle
3 times?
You turn it on. You light it.
You become human, you light it. Just plain like make it a bonfire you can use.
Yeah.
So now it's 5, and then for each humanity, and as long as you have enough levels of it, as long as you've found enough fire, whatever's, you can kindle it one more.
Oh, so because I found 2 of those,
and you can go to her, I think, and give her a fire sprite. The spider lady,
I did that.
And that'll give you plus to the Estus flask strength besides. So I haven't done that because of where I am. I might be able to fast travel now. I actually haven't looked. So
I have plus
because I'm in a crazy place that I'm like, I'm not sure I want to leave until I've dealt with the boss. I found a level design joke just literally this evening. I played for 15 minutes. And
a level design joke?
Yes. There is a spot I don't want to say.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me.
I don't want to say because when it happens to you, it's going to be funny, and you're gonna laugh because of how annoying it is and stupid. But there are level design jokes. Yes, like when you walked all the way out on some hard to walk branch on a ship. I don't remember which game this was, but when you walked all the way out and it was like you got like 1 gold or something like that. It's just the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Where it's like, haha, made you do this.
Yeah.
Like, I know what kind of player you are. And it was exactly that. And I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And I still didn't.
Yeah.
It's a resource thing. Oh, that one might be really hard for you to find. I'll have to keep an eye on your streams because there's a thing where it's like there was a mark on the floor for this thing, and I would not have found this without it.
I don't know what it is. I've gotten lucky with some of the hidden, without the marks, the hidden doors. Like there's one halfway through the catacombs that I feel like I heard some twinkling or something, and then I went over to this, this wall, and sure enough, behind the wall was a bonfire. So I don't know. Is twinkling? Maybe it's just my imagination. But
I think it was arrows plinking against the wall, the inside of the wall.
Maybe
was it that?
It was
a
very
thick brick wall.
No. This was just in some rock near one of those spiky things.
I might have missed that.
Those switches that you have to pull that rotate the catwalks or the bridges rather.
Oh yeah, I found that bonfire. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you have to find that bonfire actually because the switch is down there. To open a slab door that lowers when you pull the switch.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. I know I think the one you're talking about, but the bonfire is, I don't think you'd have to find it. It's definitely would be a pain to not have it, but it is tucked away. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right. I was wondering if the twinkling was a thing, but I guess it's really not.
I don't know.
The funny thing is there are still some, occasionally I do get some marks from the developers, I guess. Like there's another one in there that says treasure that you go through a brick wall, and then there's the big guy down there.
Okay, so there's got to be some that they put in. Yeah.
There's still,
which is good.
Yeah, that's good of them. That's good of them at least to acknowledge or understand it.
Well, I hope that there's one where I found one tonight because I would not have found that. It was a real Last Crusade moment, I'll say. So, there you go.
Okay, well that's a pretty big giveaway, but I'll okay, I see. Optical illusion, interesting. Okay.
Well, I don't even know if it's an illusion or if it's just plain invisible, but it was like, oh my god. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, sometimes I do see markings in spots where I'm like, well, how would you get there? In fact, in Anor Londo, there was one that indicated to me the way to progress. Like if it hadn't been there, I would have. In fact, that might have been why I kind of left. There was a time where I left Anor Londo for a while and was just like, well, I guess I'll go push forward in other areas. I'm not sure what else to do here. And then, at some point I'm like, well, no, he said to go there for the Lordvessel thing. So I guess I'll go there. And I spotted a marking in a place where I'm like, well, how would you get there? And then I kind of traced back. I was like, oh, that's how you would get there. And sure enough, you can walk up this thing. And I was just like, oh my God. So there's been a lot of times like that. So yeah. Let's talk. Was that the humanities stuff? Did we cover that?
Yeah.
For you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Because that was the topic you wanted to make sure that we hit. And I wanted to turn us to the mailbag tonight because they've been starting to pile up. And I'd like to spend a significant portion of this evening's show just digging into email sent to devgameclub@gmail.com. I did not check for reviews, singing or otherwise beforehand. So if you sent one in, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll get to it soon. I just didn't check before showtime. So, but let's dive into emails. You, sir, I of course always defer to you and let you have the first one.
Okay, subject Dark Souls,
and there's some long ones too, so we'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Okay, Dark Souls and asynchronous multiplayer from Ashton Herman. Hello, Ashton. Good to see you. Hey again, Tim and Brett. I'm really excited that you guys are diving into Dark Souls on the heels of your Morrowind series. I'm a relative newcomer to the series myself. I first attempted Bloodborne after I got a PS4 back in 2018-ish, but couldn't quite find my groove. Last year, I was lucky enough to get a PS5 and got really hooked on Demon's Souls, one of the most ridiculous titles of all time.
Yep.
After finishing it, I started taking on the other games in the series, and I've now finished Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring, but not Dark Souls 2. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things I've been surprised to learn I love about the games is their approach to multiplayer. I'm not much of a PvP Souls player, but I do enjoy having to fight off invaders on occasion, and I played a lot of both Demon's Souls and Elden Ring in co-op, often with a friend, but sometimes just as a friendly summon for strangers struggling to take on a boss. That would be fun. I wish that were a thing for me. I also really enjoy the weird culture that evolves around the messages players can leave to one another. And I love when a note one thoughtful player left behind has led me to a hidden wall or the solution to a puzzle. I played both Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3 on PC, and those games felt quite a bit more lonely to me because I played with reduced multiplayer functionality. In the case of Dark Souls Remastered, I refused to restore my humanity because I'd read that some nefarious players were able to brick your save files through hacks simply by invading your game. As a result, I missed out on friendly NPC summons and also fun enemy invasions. I see. So that was a choice because he was worried about hacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3, I played just as...
because if you're human, you basically can't prevent somebody invading you. They basically are using items to invade players.
Yeah.
Right. That's mechanically there are items that you can, I guess, buy probably from some vendor to, and we're holding one that lets you banish somebody. But if you banish, I think it also banishes friendly summons. It is sort of a warning in the usage notes. Like if you click through to the quote unquote lore, it says like, beware because it will, it might make you not receptive or some weird, they don't say anything straight out. So, but the way I read it was that like, if you do this, you will banish the dude who invaded you, but you won't be able to get Solaire, or whatever.
Oh,
so,
I see. You're worried about, I see.
You're basically closing off your world, from any help.
Oh, permanently?
Help or hindrance. No, not permanently. It's just in the case of this one invasion. I don't know how you would restore it. Probably just going back to the bonfire, but who knows, right? I generally shy away from that stuff.
Well, you can feed it to Frampt, and
maybe. I don't think you can in that case. I think you're meant to have that object, but yeah.
So Dark Souls 3 I played just as the multiplayer servers were brought offline when a particularly nasty exploit was discovered that would allow players to effectively seize control of the host PC. Jeez, their security sounds terrible. Those servers are still not online, and many are worried they may never be brought online again. As a result, I didn't even get to benefit from player messages, and I genuinely miss them and miss seeing the white phantoms of other players flickering in and out of my world. In and out of my world. I have a question about that later. I've realized that part of what I enjoy about these systems is that they evoke something that I loved about Morrowind, a sense of parallel play. This factored into my article about why I love Morrowind. Even though these games are largely single player, they have systems baked into them that enable players to share their experiences with one another, both voluntarily and involuntarily, like the White Phantoms. And I think that's really neat and compelling. I'm glad that Brett's still online in his game, and I'm curious to hear as the series goes on how your experiences from one another may be different because of that. Anyway, thanks as always for what you guys do. Your work here and as devs is important and well appreciated. Ashton Herman. Thank you so much, Ashton. Good.
Yeah, thanks, Ashton. So the white ghosts. Yeah, so you can see...
So people will come and go? Like they can come in and then they just leave?
They're basic recordings of play that other people had. And it's usually like around their death or doing something interesting. You might see somebody who dodges a ton or... so it really depends. I don't think any of those have ever led me like to a secret or anything. but they do sometimes give me a sense of what's coming because of how badly and how quickly they die. Like they'll go up, they'll do one slash, and then it's like crunch, and their body goes, and it's basically like a ghostly apparition.
But do they record them? How do they work? Like how do they?
No. They're just automatically recorded and uploaded into the cloud, and you just see these echoes of other experiences in the same space that you're in. I hadn't thought about that as another thing that you don't see, but it is pretty wild to be in a place. There was one place where, it was in Sen's Fortress, where there's like ghosts who go, occasionally you'll see one in there where it's like, this is a person doing exactly what I'm doing. They're running up to where the blade is swinging. It's a place with the big swinging blades that I mentioned before.
And they're stopping,
and they're waiting, and then they move. Or they dive roll or whatever, and so they kind of like, they're doing the same things I'm doing. So it's also kind of comforting in a way of like, okay, I'm on the right track. Like other people have done what I'm doing, like this is the way to get past this. Right?
I'm really missing out on this whole portion.
This part of it
because it is part of the phenomenon of this game, I think, right? The messages and what a lot of people have copied since, including Death Stranding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, finding ways to do that. I mean, the only other asynchronous multiplayer game that we've played that I can think of is Animal Crossing. And that, of course, was, your local GameCube, right? It wasn't connected to the internet, but you could play, 4 people could play on the same town.
Oh, yeah, that's a good example.
And could send messages between one another. And there are some touching stories of people online who have discovered from departed parents, messages that they left and stuff like that. And, it's quite a thing. So yeah, it is a weirdly, I mean, it would be too strong to call it communal, but there's definitely some fellow feeling, in these moments where you will see somebody who clearly maybe died the same way you died, or, or you see that and it like lets you dodge something that you might not have. And so there are moments like that. Like I said, I don't think I've seen any that have really revealed anything to me. Messages do though. Messages for sure do. Like those have shown me hidden things. There was one in the section I'm in now that was like, beware of mimicry, which was right near a mimic. Which was very funny. I was like, of course, like I knew, not that I don't just go to every chest and try to hit it, because I was, I've learned my lesson. So that was funny. Trying to think of other really good messages. Well, there was one that revealed a path that I would not have been able to figure out. There have been a couple of those, like one in Anor Londo and one tonight. But the game just keeps going too. Like,
yeah.
So once you deliver the Lordvessel to where it's got to go, have you seen a golden door yet? I don't think you have, based on your descriptions.
A golden door.
Correct.
Door. I mean, it's
a mist door, a golden mist.
Oh, a mist door that's golden instead of white.
That's golden color instead of white.
No. I mean, I've been into Sen's Fortress, but I haven't climbed it.
Okay, so there are some of those around.
Some of those. Oh,
there's more than one. There may be 3 or possibly 4. There's at least 3. I've seen interacted with 3. Once you deliver the Lordvessel to where it's got to go, those open up and they're like, hey, here's the end game. Like, I mean, I presume there's nothing further than that. Like, because of what the Lordvessel will do once it's filled. But they're like, hey, go get these special souls. And all these doors open up, or these 3 doors open up. And
there's bosses between them or something?
There's bosses beyond them somewhere. Yeah. In fact, I've been killed by one of those bosses already. And I think you're supposed to be. That's the funny thing. Like, the things this game does. Like, I went and fought a boss and like I couldn't get to it. I literally couldn't get to it. I have no ranged weapons, and I'm like, is this a thing? Like, am I supposed to be able to use a ranged weapon now after it killed me? And then I woke up in a prison cell and I'm like, God damn it.
Interesting.
So it's like they did it deliberately. Like, oh, you're not supposed to win that. Like, sorry. you know?
Metroid
So there's
moment.
it's just been so
Have
many.
Have you crafted any of the special souls from bosses to see what they make?
I have not done it, but I have been given the opportunity. So the moonlight butterfly, or whatever it's called, soul.
Yeah.
I have a shield that could be used with it. So what that tells
it'll be
me
obvious?
is, well, no. What it tells me is that individual weapons might be levelable to 10 and then might be able to unite with a soul to make a thing. And the two things that this thing makes for this shield, one turns the shield not into a shield anymore. It gets no physical defense, but it has some magic skill or magic attack.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't say what it does. So it's like, I don't know what it actually does, but its stats change radically. It effectively becomes not a shield. So I don't know what that's about. And then the other thing that it can become is, I think Astorus's great shield or something like that, which is like a big heavy shield. And I'm like, well, I can't use those either. So like, I'm not strong enough to wield a heavy shield effectively. I'm not that strong. I'm like, my strength is like 40 something, maybe high 30s. It's around 40. And so it's like, okay, neither of those are useful to me. Which of these other things could I level and make a thing out of? Don't know. And that's, I mean,
so
I guess the thinking is like, you'll have picked something, right, as your main, and you'll have leveled it a bunch. Excuse me. You'll have leveled it a bunch. And it'll be like, hey, you'll go and, because you'll have kept these souls because they say they can do something special, something will open up for you from something you've already made. But it's very opaque. Like, and I would have to look it up. Like, I have no idea. Like, I have this one thing. And it's like, so could I have made my mace a special thing? I've never found another mace, as I've mentioned. So probably not. I feel like it has to be the things that things can drop multiple times, that there's more of in the world, because it would feel unfair otherwise. Although I guess you can break them down. If not for the way this game saves, I would try it, but I don't want to lose my plus 5 divine mace, right? So it's like,
so you're saying you don't know if you can apply it to your mace.
Correct.
But you found somebody who will apply them to
who will
things?
do it, who will make it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's crazy. I might it's so nerve-wracking to make that decision without looking it up that I'm like, I'll just use the souls. I don't even want the stress.
I mean, that's what I did in Demon Souls. I didn't do, and I looked stuff up in that game, and I don't think I used a single one of those special things for anything but like leveling up. And I remembered, we'll get to, I'll talk about that later, because I remembered something about my playthrough of Demon Souls that bore on some of my mistakes. Anyway, let me turn to the second email. Thanks, Ashton. It's a different experience for me, for sure. All right, this is Dark Souls Journey from Jericho Savula. Sorry for my mispronunciation, because I'm sure that was bad. He says, hello, and thank you for your Morrowind episodes. I remember being overwhelmed by it as a kid, but got hooked in Oblivion and Skyrim. So maybe I should go back to Morrowind someday. So, Dark Souls. I just finished the remastered edition a month ago, and I absolutely loved it. Few things that I try to keep short. 1, no love at first sight. I tried to start with Dark Souls 2 just because it was cheap and available. I didn't understand the lore, how to play the game, and got very frustrated. A friend suggested to try the first one instead. I did so, and it clicked. I don't know why, but suddenly I understood the game. One thing I learned is, don't read tips online, which neither of us are doing, so that's good. A lot of infuriating people trying to take away the joy of playing your way. The hints players leave in the ground are usually enough, which, of course, Tim doesn't get either. 2, difficulty. I am not good at games like this, but I managed to beat the game and enjoy the process. I think this game is very well balanced. For example, the Capra Demon that is a nightmare for many players, I'm raising my hand here, was one of the easiest bosses for me because I luckily happened to have a good weapon and strategy right away. Pure luck, but for some, it could have been a well-planned approach. Like you've said on the podcast, it is a sum of many parts, and sometimes when your equipment, character, and skills are all in harmony, it may surprise you how easy things are for a moment. In some games, you are forced into corners with one way out, but in Souls, you have at least some options, another way, another weapon, blacksmith to upgrade your gear. Difficulty slider is not needed because you are, at least almost, never stuck in your dire situation. Well, so that's point 2. I wanted to say about this, that's what happened to me with Anor Londo, is that I got to a point where I went somewhere else and leveled for a while, I think Darkroot, and came back. And then the giants, this 9,000 soul loop, were like almost painfully easy. I mean, they're big and they move slowly. All their things are really well telegraphed. And I was just like, I can just go around. I have to hit them, I think 3 times or something like that, but I can do that easily. Like, it just got to the point where I'm like, oh, I can just do this. Like, I could just do this again. That's why I farmed so much. I was like, I can just literally just do this easily. Like, so it's not.
Yeah.
So for me, I get to this point where I'm like, this is not even a decision. I should just level all my armor up. Why not? I can just farm souls here forever. So that's been interesting. Now it's starting to be like, well, now it would take 10 loops to get a level. So
right.
Do I really want to spend 35 minutes, or whatever? It was originally like 7 loops or 6 loops. So
it's that's the auto scaling kind of element of it.
I mean, just like how the distance to the next level keeps increasing. So it's like, it used to be, when I first got there, it was like 48,000 for a level. Now I'm at like 83 or something.
Well, it's good RPG math tropes as far as just auto scaling for that, right? Because it makes the lower content, even though you feel like a god and you're like, I can kill anything. You're like, why am I doing this?
Why would I kill all of these things?
Yeah, even though you can, it's like, well, your time, basically it puts it back into time. Time is the real resource.
Yeah. All right, 3 hidden things. There are a lot of hidden things which are part of the fun. In some parts, they go too far, in my opinion, and I had to break my no internet rule to find the access to the DLC world. You can accidentally do all the steps to get there, but finding the portal is still ridiculously hard. Painted World is also easy to miss and one of the best areas in the game. After beating the game, I read that I missed 2 bosses and missed a great deal about the real driving forces behind the story. I will mention I've found what I believe he's talking about with Painted World, but I still don't know how to get in. So it's something I'm keeping an eye out for.
Wild.
So, yep. But I think I know what he's talking about there. As far as the DLC world, I actually haven't purchased and downloaded the DLC, but I should. As he continues, storytelling and design, part 4. The Artorias DLC that should not be missed does this the best. You encounter a knight that is clearly going mad. He's one of the hardest bosses. After the fight, the knight's friends thank you for saving the knight from darkness. The scary fight was actually a sad one. Then you realize you have to follow the trail the knight has left that leads deeper and deeper into the abyss, and you see clear marks where the knight has to crawl up from the abyss. So now you have to encounter whatever drove insane that big, tough knight. Very little dialogue, but a lot of feeling and soul. Thank you for the podcast, and keep on adventuring. I can't wait what you guys as game devs think about the one huge flaw in Dark Souls, the half-finished mess that is Demon Ruins.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's actually the area where the Capra demon is.
Yeah, that is. That's where it just was. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to pick up the DLC. I read this a few weeks ago and forgot about it, so I probably should have already picked up the DLC. On the other hand, this game is already enormous, so it's like, oh my.
I assume I have the DLC with the remastered, yeah?
Yeah, remastered is a complete edition, right? Yeah. So I don't think mine is a complete edition. I'll have to go look. When he said the night, this Artorias DLC, oh yeah, that's not what it was. It was Astoris or something like that, I think. It's not the knight with the wolf, with the crest in the woods. I can't remember enough.
The crest.
No, I didn't fight him. The crest in the woods. Remember, there's a 20,000 soul.
Oh, I still haven't gone in there. Yeah.
So beyond that is the wolf, which is cool.
Yeah.
Cool looking wolf. I really like that boss. Not so much for the battle. I mean, I beat him the second time, but just like the look of the thing.
Yeah, I've just sort of like accidentally seen some screenshots from the game here and there, and I feel like I see that wolf a lot as far as like what people consider an
exemplar. Yeah. So I will try to get it. I have definitely, picked up a lot of story from items and stuff. And I have had moments like I said, where like I just seem to fit the game. Like what I'm being asked to do right now fits what my character can do. And there's definitely been times where it has not been that.
Yeah.
Because I have shifted back to like heavy armor. Like I was in the light armor, the hard leather or whatever for a long time, but now I've switched back and now I'm in this iron armor and I've put a ton into endurance so that I can move reasonably. I still can't move quickly. Like I still don't feel super nimble like I did in the leather armor. I bet if I put the leather armor on now, I'd be like a speed demon. So I should probably try that just to get the feel again, just to feel what that's like. But yeah, it's interesting. I still have it. I'm still carrying it around, so might still happen someday.
If you're using two-handed like the two-handed sword or something, and you use the two-handed mode, then you will basically use that to block things, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, I don't think it's easy to parry and stuff. Like I tried a heavy shield at one point, just like a big great shield at one point just to see, and like the wind up just to block, I was like, I'll never be able to use that. Like it's so slow.
Oh, it's much slower. Interesting.
Oh, way slower. Yeah, they're super. I mean, partly that's me again, right? If I had put everything into endurance so far, and maybe strength, I guess I probably could do more. And that's. Yeah, we'll come into that when we talk about the real level cap, which will come up soon. Maybe now. Let's hear email 2 from you. I can't remember what's next.
Oh, my goodness. I'm reading it ahead.
Is it from Ben?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Dark Souls level cap from Ben Zaug.
It's a short one for
Brett. The Dark Souls level cap is 709 to 713, depending on your starting class. You have a ways to go. I don't have much else to add because this game is so much about learning, and I don't want to ruin anything. Even correcting something you think, but is wrong is possibly a spoiler. I also enjoy that you can ignore the story or dive deep into the lore by reading the item descriptions. Thanks, Ben from Iowa, Zaug.
Yes.
Okay.
So there you go. The level cap is actually much higher. I had replied to Ben at the time. So I thought back to like, why did I think this about Demon Souls?
Yeah.
And I realized it was not that I was leveling my character. It was that I maxed out my vitality. Because my approach was, well, just get more health. If I had more health, I'd be, more survivable.
Yeah. Attributes.
And I hit the cap on one of my attributes, which I'm sure was quite high. And I'm pretty sure it was vitality. And I remember hitting that cap. When I read this email, I was like, oh, that's right. It wasn't, because I did continue to level after that. I leveled other things. I don't think I really learned the lesson entirely about these games. I think I was just like, well, I'll just get more and more health.
Yeah.
And eventually I'll be able to withstand anything, and that's how I'll win. When I could have been spending it on other stuff that actually made me more nimble or more. Yeah. I did definitely put some in endurance as well, but other things I did not. So
what a weird level.
I don't think
cap.
I used any magic. Yeah.
709.
Yeah.
So
what? 709?
I wonder if there's some significance to that.
There's no. That's not. Like, how many attributes are there that you can level? So it's not a multiple of 7.
Oh, yeah. You're right. There's more than 7, right? I feel like
there's more than 7.
So it must be just related to that then.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's such a short window. 709 to 713. Like, that's a weird window. I don't know. The numbers on that are super strange.
But he said based on your starting classes, some classes must like have a boost.
Have a little boost when they start.
Some kind, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not going to hit the level cap anytime soon.
Well, it just sounds like you don't need to, right? That just sounds like...
No, I mean, I definitely... I've been playing for quite a while now at 114 because I've gotten to the point where I feel pretty, like, I'll die sometimes, but I feel pretty confident generally that I'll be able to figure out how to get past something rather than brute force it. So I'm basically at that point of like, you know, like I could go level, but at this point there, I'm not sure there would be a benefit to my play. You know, I could still use more endurance. That would still be nice. But in general, you know, that's because I'm using this heavy armor because I want to be able to take some hits because I'm old and I can't react as quickly as I used to be able to. So like when I play Demon Souls, so whatever that was 10 years ago. Anyway, here's another email from Sam Thomas, frequent writer as well. Subject, no spoilers, Dark Souls block. Oh yeah, this was one that he had written in an initial email to say, you know, you can block in this game.
Yeah. And
I said, no, I understand. I just like the parry. Like, not that I don't know I can block, but I really enjoy the feeling of parrying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he followed up with a request and a few quick hits. One, can you guys share what weapons you're using and why you like them? Also, generally where you are putting stats will help listeners like me to place your build. So what weapon are you using, sir?
Well, I mean, he asked why we like them. It's like, I'm using an upgraded version of my original weapon. I'm using a blade, which is like a knife. It was originally called something blade.
Bandit blade.
Bandit blade, yeah. Bandit blade, which is upgraded to a raw blade, which I believe does bleeding damage. And I'm now upgrading that. But I use it because I'm it's a little bit kind of like the Brett school of thought, when it's sort of like, if that's the one they gave me, until I find something that makes a lot of sense to change, because it fits my style, because I'm all dex based and I'm just rolling around like a madman and backstabbing people, you know, is my attempt. And yeah, it probably doesn't do as much damage as a Zweihander or something, but I'm hitting like 3 times quickly, you know. In fact, I almost never use heavy attack. Like, I'm just using light attack all the time, and it seems to be working for me for the most part. I mean, obviously I have to really pay attention and you know, and use my iframes and all that nonsense. But yeah, so anyway, I'm using it more because it feels like I'm playing a thief and I want to play a thief. And so
and your stats then are endurance and what else?
Dex. I'm at 40
Dex.
41 Dex right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, okay. I've really doubled down on Dex and endurance. Endurance is only like at 16 or 17 or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I've mainly focused on dexterity because that ups my damage. So when I do hit, you know, I'm doing a lot of damage there. So
my let's see, I've mainly put in endurance, in strength, and in faith. Like I said, a smattering in attunement, in resistance, and maybe a couple points in vitality. Not very much at all. So it's been primarily those 3. They're all in the low 40s, low to mid 40s. Endurance might be 39. I put a lot into endurance recently when I switched back to heavier armor. I'm using the iron armor set, which I have upgraded as far as I can, and I used my divine mace for a long time. At some point in the last 20 hours, I found an occult club. And I've switched to that because when I do my heavy attack, it automatically jumps and does more damage. Like, so I hit the button, I'm standing still, and I still jump attack, which is neat. It's sometimes tricky, so I might, in the place where I am now, I might not use it, but I hope I can still use it because it's I'm worried about jumping off of ledges where I am, so I have to be really careful and kite things to a place where I'm like, okay, I'll be good here. Like, I can jump back and forth because I'll jump in and I'll roll out for something if it's dangerous. So that's my approach. Okay, that's part 1. Sorry. 2, there is no level cap. Not accurate according to Ben. It is extremely high, however. What you may have heard about is a level 120 PvP convention. No, it was because I misremembered Demon Souls. But with the rising cost of levels, grinding gets less and less effective. I will say this is entirely true. All right, 3. Tim is confused about weapon slots, but I think you guys worked through that one. We did?
Yeah.
4, for Tim, most lore is in the item descriptions. The lore is highly mysterious, better than most, and absolutely worth reading up on after you finish playing. Finally, a few very vague tips if you are willing. Smiley face. Enemies are generally slower than you. There are many applications for this. Yeah, so I've noticed. When you die, you only lose souls and humanity and nothing else. So you get the knowledge and the items you found, Tim. Player knowledge and items are the real progression. Most stats are subject to diminishing returns breakpoints. You may want to look these up. I don't think this game has a respec. I have seen this. I usually look at my 3 main things, like, what am I going to get if I upgrade this one versus that one? And it's like, oh, okay, this is a level where not much changes. I've noticed it's like, there are levels where it's like, instead of like 8 stats changing, like 3 will change. Like 2 defenses and like my attack will change if I update strength.
It's not,
faith.
so
it's not consistent level to level. It's very strange.
Wow, that's crazy talk. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, at level, let's say I went to level, I don't know, 88. And on level 88, even though on level 87 I got like 8 stat boosts, on level 88 I get 3. And it doesn't matter which of those 3 things I choose to put it into. I only get 3 for each of them. They're different 3 for each of them, maybe, but they're not. It's only like 3. This is it's extremely strange. I don't know if that's tied to I think it's tied to the overall character level, because I feel like the next time I'll look and I'll have picked one of those things, now the next time I level, I get, something, I start getting those 8 stats again, or 9 stats, or whatever it's impacted by, strength or faith, however many, because there's a bunch of defense stuff that gets impacted. So I don't know. It's weird.
The stats, all of the character sheet in general is still like,
yeah,
they're breaking so many, I just lost the word. Conventions. Yeah. Thank you. They're breaking so many conventions for my D&D, whatever, Western brain that, but even JRPGs take some of that, right? Like JRPGs, I can still grok generally. So it's not even just that. It's just,
the first Final Fantasy was a straight up D&D.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just, kudos to them, but they just went in their own, their own universe. And it's kind of, I mean, and then obviously it has created this whole new generation of people who now probably really like gravitate to and resonate with that model. It's become a new model, basically, right? And so that's pretty darn impressive.
It really is. I mean, it's had that huge impact. Like, the stats part of it is so strange. I remember with Demon Souls just being so like, what is like, and what should I improve? Like, and why would I do that? And it took so long to understand any of that. Granted, I probably didn't read the manual on that one either, but yeah, I mean, you might be able to jump in that game too. I don't think I knew that at the time. Yeah, so super, super wild. Let's, I think we have time for one more from you, sir.
Okay. This is, okay. That majestic, in quotes, Dark Souls Brett mentioned. Majestic Dark Souls Brett mentioned. Okay. The Honorable TH. Sismeyer all name.
Yep.
This is all okay. Hey DGC, I know you guys are busy, so I'll get right to it. The majestic quote from Miyazaki that Brett mentioned in episode 1 is explained in this video at 10 minutes 16.
I'll put a link in the show.
Link to timestamp, blah blah blah. Minor spoilers for Acid Dragon in this part. Oh, there's an Acid Dragon. Major spoilers in the rest of the video. Seriously, don't look at anything else until you finish the game. So links there. As soon as Brett mentioned it, I knew exactly what he was referring to, because it struck me so deeply when I heard it. The atmosphere created by the art style is one of the things I love most about Dark Souls. To find out it was so intentional made me like the game even more. Anyway, love the podcast. You are true gentlemen, thoughtful, curious, and a boon to thinking gamers everywhere. The Honorable, this is my real name.
Yes.
P.S. Some other not that important stuff. First point, Brett, I think you're playing the PS3 version. Make sure you have the Artorias DLC.
Yep.
Otherwise, okay, we talked about that. And then the second point, read the item descriptions if you aren't. A lot of stories there. Yep, I do need to. I've been doing that generally, but I need to do it more. If you are like everyone else and can't understand the story, watch the Vadividya lore.
Yeah.
He's
well known actually as being the source for like explaining the lore.
Okay.
Vadividya, yeah. So I've heard that name before from Triple Click.
Interesting.
Formerly,
yeah,
formerly the Kotaku split.
Such a funny, interesting way to deliver lore as a lore nut myself. Like to use the things you're picking up, but and I actually do appreciate the voice lines when you do talk to NPCs. You know, they'll have if you keep talking to them, they'll have more to say, and it is in this very opaque kind of manner where you're just like, man, seems like there's a lot going on in this world, but I have no idea what it is. You know, it's like they seem so self-important, and like there's always something that like
they also laugh weirdly.
Yeah, it's just the creepiest. Yeah, it's the creepiest. Yeah, it's very weird. The fact that they've created their own aesthetic within a fantasy genre that is already so saturated is just insane. You know, I mean, again, there's definitely some Shadow of the Colossus in here for me, but
sure.
But
and we talked about that going back to the that specific artist whose name just fled, but the old Italian.
Yes.
You know, so it all goes back to that really, but yeah, they really push scale. You know, one of the things I've really been noticing in some of these areas I spend a lot of time in is just how meticulously like tall doorways are laid out so that you see, like, it's very Disney, like, you know, Disney park, perfectly designed. So as you come up a staircase, this thing reveals to you in just as perfect way. Yep. Aesthetically, it's just gorgeous. And you just go, that's really amazing. Like, and because they're playing at video game scale as a third person game, like things have to be bigger. Right. So it's also got that. So it just uses the fact that it has to do that really, really well. And then just very like, because there's places where it's like, you're going to have to go up this staircase. Why not make every time you have to go up a staircase or down a staircase look really cool? You know, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Even going down into a small room where a bonfire is, that bonfire is perfectly framed, you know? And so like, as you come to the top of the stairs and you're just like, oh man, it's so good. And it's part of its aesthetic. So yeah, anyway, thanks, Honorable, I will call you, for that. I appreciate the email. We have more, we'll get to it. We'll continue catching up on your emails. We put a good dent in it tonight, so I feel pretty good about that. Thank you for all of those who sent those in to devgameclub@gmail.com. Now I have to scroll around to find the outro stuff. And of course, we love every review. Thank you for those as well. I haven't had one in a little while, though the last one was a singing review, and sometimes that puts people off. I don't know why. You can find us on the web at devgameclub.com or on Twitter at devgameclub, where you can also find my co-host at
Tim Longo Jr. with the JR at the end.
You can also find either of us twitching from time to time. I haven't in a couple of weeks, but I'm going to try to get back to it soon. I've been moving a machine from one machine to another, so it's been painful time. Thanks for your thoughts and prayers. And you can find Tim on twitch.tv/Tim Longo Jr. with the JR at the end, where you are streaming.
Yeah, Dark Souls. I unfortunately can't do it tonight, though, which I didn't mention to you ahead of time, Brett, but I already tweeted about it.
right.
I'm actually house sitting right now, so
okay.
For a neighbor.
No streaming.
No streaming that I forgot I was doing this week. Otherwise, I would have. But yeah, so it won't be obviously, won't be contiguous chunks. It will just be wherever I am, because I'm playing offline as well. So you'll miss sections. But I was the one session I did have. I had a good time because I was fighting
with Queelag,
and
I watched
and
that.
I downed her, which I was surprised, I'll say, that I actually achieved.
How many times can I hear somebody yell "butt explosion" as he dashes and runs? It was quite entertaining. Very good.
Yeah, but that's still. I was telling a friend of ours at work, Brandon, about this too, because he's a fan of the game, and that I think that fight will probably, some of it was that I was streaming at the time, but that fight will definitely be one of the more memorable boss fights, I think, for me in a long time, just because it's it's hard and you do it the whole thing, the whole usual thing, but it felt like the sense of achievement afterwards, especially because Brett,
it was real Fiero for me too, so
yeah, and I think you had boosted her up as a boss quite a bit before I got there, so I already was scared, and so the fact that you can kind of chip away at those, it's very good. Yeah,
it's pretty great. Our intro and outro music was written and performed by Kirk Hamilton, commissioned by friend of the cast Aaron Evers, and our logo is by Mark Garcia. Have fun falling prey to level design jokes this week, and good night.
Good night.